homeowners and small business owners to declutter, reorganize, and set up systems. And people call me for a variety of reasons. It really runs the gamut from just, hey, I need someone to go through my garage with me, I need help figuring out where to donate things, all the way to serious cases. I haven't worked with a hoarder in years. It worries me health-wise doing that at this point, but I have worked with hoarders. And so it's kind of like everything from your everyday clutter to the other end of the spectrum. If you're unable to use one or more rooms in your house, that can be a red flag. And then just major life events, moving, divorce, death, illness. My most recent client had been treated for cancer over the last 2 years and was just kind of coming out the other end. And so you can imagine that things were not organized, and we had to go through some stuff that didn't have the best associations. So that's kind of an example. So I always say to people, if I just went to someone's house with some black garbage bags and started throwing things away, first of all, that would be pretty dull. And second of all, it wouldn't work. So there's a lot of kind of psychology behind clutter, and here are some examples. So basically, clutter represents, a lot of times, a lot of unmade decisions, right? So when you stop making decisions about things, they kind of pile up and they don't move. But decluttering requires that you make a lot of decisions. That's something that the service that I provide is kind of sitting with someone and helping them go through that process. We all know the second one, people get very emotionally attached to things. There's a lot of different categories. Gifts are huge. When people pass away and we inherit their stuff, that's huge. And there's different ways that I can work with people to help them to just keep a few things, or to sort through things and decide what is actually meaningful. Otherwise, I have friends, because of my age, a lot of my friends have lost their parents, and I have friends whose entire garages or entire basements are filled with their parents' stuff. That's not helping anyone, and they're not really enjoying the stuff. So, yeah, we go through that. Aspirational items. All those people that bought the Pelotons during COVID, things like that. Books you're supposed to read. Business books are huge. Like, people have nightstands stacked with business books. They haven't read one page. So things that you think you're supposed to be doing, or you may do in the future, they can turn into clutter. People can get paralyzed by the situation. Even something simple like your basement is stacked up. People also feel like they can do it alone, but what I always kind of say in my head but don't always say out loud is, like, if you were going to do it, you would have done it. So at that point you have to say, I need a helping hand, right? Down at the bottom there, interesting thing that happens is what I call clutter blindness, is that we can get used to a lot of clutter and then you really don't see it anymore. And in some extreme examples, I've come to people's homes and opened the door and thought, wow, but the person's just kind of like, they get used to it. People can get used to bad things. And then kind of your bar gets lowered, right? And then it's hard when I come in to kind of help them to raise that bar back up and really want to have a space that they want to live in. Okay, lots and lots of guilt I'm dealing with. People spend a lot of money on stuff that is clutter, and one thing I say to people is the money is gone, so we need to move past that. People trying to recoup your money for everything can be a fool's errand. Duplicated, lost, misplaced items, and the inability I'm sure all of us here know that if you kind of clear a stack of clutter, there's usually dust or dirt underneath. And then if you multiply that, you have people who are living with a lot of dirt. Okay, so what happens during an organizing session? So a couple of things that I don't do. You can't force anyone to do this. So I have people who call me on behalf of someone else, and that's a huge red flag. Because can you imagine if someone called me for you? Yikes, right? So that usually doesn't work. I can't impose a specific system on anyone. We all need our own quirky little systems, based on who we are, how we operate, and focusing on organizing products prematurely. So, the Home Depot filled with those storage boxes, I would say don't buy a single one. Why? You want to declutter first, and then usually I end up with a stack of empty containers. So people kind of think of that backwards. So what I do, does anyone here work out at a gym? Okay. Have you ever seen someone working with a personal trainer? And the personal trainer's like, the person's doing sit-ups or whatever, and they're just chatting about the weather, and you think to yourself, first of all, this costs a fortune, because I looked into it and I can't afford it. But anyway, it costs a lot of money, and you're hiring someone to stand next to you and kind of push you to do that thing that you're avoiding. That's kind of what I do. I call myself like a shadow. So I'm with the person, and sometimes they're kind of not really even paying attention to me. They're talking to themselves and going through things, but I have to be there. If I don't show up, nothing's going to happen. Second bullet, people need to talk through their belongings. They need to pick it up and go, oh, all right, so I bought this remote. It wasn't the right remote, we have to kind of go through it. I need to show empathy and compassion. I need to be discreet. I need to ask a lot of questions. So what do we do? Does anyone here know anyone with ADD? Okay. So, and I was a teacher for many years, so what we're trained to do is to help students to chunk tasks. So if we look at a big task as a blob, then we get freaked out. So we break it down into chunks, and that's what I do with my clients. So I tour the house, we talk about each room, set goals for each room, decide which rooms we're going to touch, which rooms we're not going to touch, and then go through that, keep, toss, donate, move, sorting as quickly as possible. Because a lot of people, when they try it, do it at their own. They just do it at a snail's pace, or they just stop. So I need to kind of get the momentum going. And the last one is in red, because I learned a long time ago that if I don't remove the discarded items and literally drive off with them, bad things happen, including clients opening up the bags and pulling everything back out again. So just really quickly, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'll just quickly go through, some rooms. So with any room, if you kind of like audit the room, you walk in, how are you feeling in that room? Are you tense? Is it blocked? Does it make you happy to be in the room? Same thing goes with the kitchen. With the kitchen, you want the stuff you use every day right in reaching distance. And hopefully there's somewhere else in the house you can move things that you use once a year. So I just had Hanukkah. There's certain dishes and things I only use for Hanukkah. I'm not going to keep them in the kitchen, right? And this limit what fits in the space seems so obvious, but if there's no more room, don't put anything else, don't shove anything else in there, right? The bedroom is sad, because it should be a nice, comfortable place, and then if you have a partner, it should be a place where you're comfortable together. And a lot of times I'll walk into bedrooms and they're really cluttered and dirty and stacked with things, and it can't be good for anybody, right? Rotate clothing seasonally. Really depends on the size of your house. I've never lived in a large house. I've always had to rotate my clothing. I keep constantly edit my clothing, constantly. So if I were to put on this sweater this morning, look in the mirror and go, oh, and take it off, it's a red flag. Like, why is it in my closet? So I do a 2 strikes and it's out rule. Try it on twice, reject it, it's gone. And I keep a donation bag in my closet at all times. We already talked about let the space set the limit. I use the 1 in, 1 out rule. I don't know, ladies, if any of you have a male partner that has 4,000 t-shirts with like, you know, every state park you've been to. And so anytime my husband gets a new t-shirt, he has to, well, first of all, he has to because we don't have enough room. So it forces the issue. But that's the concept. If you bring in a new t-shirt, something's got to go. And there's going to be an old t-shirt in there that you can pull out. Keep the nightstand simple. And then just like I said at the bottom, consider the bedroom a sacred space. If you have, you know, your divorce papers on your nightstand, that's not good. You know, and these people have stuff like that. It's stressful, and you don't want it to be a stressful place. The home office, you want to handle paper quickly. You want to have, you know, are you going to act on it, file, recycle it? For business owners out there, you want a retention schedule for your papers. So I had a client recently who had his client files and notes going back 25 years. So we called a recycling truck, not a recycling, a shredding truck. And we talked about how far he was going to go back, and then anything older than that was going to be shredded. Schedule, you know, weekly reset. Living room is tough. It depends on the size of your house. For a lot of people, the living room has to serve a lot of purposes, so it can get very cluttered. You know, you have your drop zone when you come in, a place where you put your keys, your purse, whatever, your mail. There's that to deal with. Decor. Toys are huge. I don't know if any of you, if you guys are past that stage. I'm definitely past that stage, but for clients, a room packed with toys is not great for kids. They can't focus. Years ago, there used to be someone who had this 10 toy rule, that if you were to edit it down to 10 toys, it would be better for the kid. Keep paper out, and then daily reset. Downsizing. So this is the stage that my friends and I are at. We're downsizing. Our parents, if they're still alive, usually have had to downsize, maybe into a retirement home. So there's this new book, Nobody Wants Your Shit. And it's true. It's true. It's called Swedish death cleaning. Thank God my mother did this without having to be told to do it. And when she did pass away, it was a lot easier. But people think, like a lot of my friends' parents think, you know, we're going to want the gigantic china cabinet with all the glass animals, right? And you have to kind of tell them, I'm sorry, but we don't want it, and now we have to figure out what we're going to do with it. So that's something I deal with a lot. Okay, some tricks, some habits. The always be ready to move mentality is really, really helpful. So I have had some clients who have to move, and it's a nightmare. And they've had to hire me for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we've had to hire trucks, and you know, so to be a little bit lean and mean and ready to move at any time, or just have in the back of your head, if I were to move, am I even going to bring this with me? And then to use that as like a guardrail. Having company, I mean, I feel it's really important, and I know 2 different people who are on book clubs, and they rotate through each person's house, and they've both mentioned to me a person in their club who can't have anyone to their house. It's a real thing for a lot of people, and it's sad, and if you keep it a priority, then you can kind of take a look around the house and see, if someone wanted to come over a couple hours from now, would it work or would I freak out? Pay attention to how you feel in each room. Like I said before, if you walk into a room and you tense up, or if you don't want to be in the room, that's telling you something. Consistently edit, regular maintenance. Here's some rules. You may or may not like these, but 2020 is a funny one. It's if you can replace an item in 20 minutes for under $20 and you're not using it, it's out. So it's not worth a lot. It's not valuable in any way. It's kind of an interesting one. I don't always use that. 80-20 is just a general rule. It doesn't even necessarily have to do with organizing. It just means that we tend to use 20% of any given category. So like your clothing, you'll wear the 20% over and over, and then the 80% is technically clutter, right? But people get very stuck because they've spent money. That's the sticking point. So then you have to decide, like I said, are you going to try and recoup the money? Are you going to donate and be okay with that? Container concept we talked about before. You can't let things go outside of their containers, and people do start using the floor. And marinating is really, really helpful. It's the idea that if someone is stuck on a certain item, like let's say a bread machine. I don't know why I always think of a bread machine, but people have them and then they don't use them. So it's like a big thing taking up a lot of space. So I'll say to them, and they're like, I can't get rid of it, I spent so much money. I said, let's put it in the basement with a sticker, discard after, so today is January 20th, right? With a sticker, discard after March 1st. I'm just making up a date, right? And then if they don't touch it between now and then, we have to get rid of it. It's really good for toys. If you just remove a bunch of toys from the toy room, put them away, usually the kids never notice, and then you don't need them, right? So those are just some rules you can live by. So I don't know, does anyone have any questions? Yes?
So I have, like everybody, I have for my mother-in-law, my father.
Yeah.
I gave away a lot of stuff after they passed, on the swapping groups.
Yeah.
But then we have some big stuff. It's like, what do you do? I have, what do I have?
Like furniture, you mean?
Furniture.
Yeah.
And then we have stuff that was in the house when we moved in, like an organ that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like, and nobody wants it. I mean, it
I know.
probably does for somebody. It works enough for somebody to play it. None of us play it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't even give it away.
I know.
That stuff.
So a lot of stuff that comes from older folks who have passed away is hard to even give away. So the stuff that I use the example of the china cabinet for a reason. Nobody wants a china cabinet. Nobody. It's not a thing anymore. Yeah.
So we have organizations that they come and pick up furniture.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of people that they don't want their parents' stuff, and we have organizations. King University, they have Be the Change is one of the organizations. So they will take your furniture and they will give it to people that don't have furniture, and they're moving into housing assistance programs and stuff like that. Also, Vietnam veterans also pick up
Yeah.
furniture. So
Yeah.
we have organizations that they're willing to pick up the stuff because they need it for
You have to look. I mean, it's not easy, and the sticking point is the money. If you can get over the money part, then you're set and you can dig around and hopefully find someone. It's when people want to make money off of the stuff that it becomes a battle, because you're not going to make money off of a china cabinet. Not even a dining room table. People don't want dining room tables anymore either.
Or China.
Or tchotchkes or china.
I see these.
Piano?
I have a whole set.
Pianos are extremely difficult to get rid of. Because Because whoever takes it from you,
Just gotta
I
pay.
forget how much it costs, $500 to move it, something like that. Yeah.
So what about like, you have older children, but what about children's like artwork, like elementary school things, like, they, you know, sometimes I hold on to things thinking that they're gonna wanna look at it, which
Yeah.
is probably wrong, but how do you manage kind of all their papers and?
Yeah, so it amazes me when I go to people's houses and they'll literally have a piece of paper with a red this, and they'll have 100 of them. And I'm like, okay, so we need to edit down. You can take pictures, or what I did with my kids, I just got a binder with those clear plastic pages, edited it way down, and I just did like one school year, a couple school years per big binder of just like little certificates and, you know, little artwork, that kind of thing. Or you can take pictures and then what's the digital, the company that does the digital photo albums? Shutterfly does, you send them and they'll put together like an, you know, a kid's artwork book. Yeah. Yeah.
I was also thinking like with old furniture and stuff.
Yeah.
Since now we have the big like Netflix and theater studios coming into New Jersey, they use these old items for setting, you know, like on the set, or even a high school will use some of the setting for their plays. So I was thinking, in for myself, because I'm in the middle of moving as well, and so this was great, of donating some furniture or some pieces to like high schools. But if you have bigger, you know, pieces, maybe reaching out to those studios and see if maybe they would be interested.
Yeah, I've never dealt with that, but I have reached out to high schools, even for like a piano. If someone has like a lot of costumes for some reason, you know, I try and get creative because I know it means a lot to people that their items are going somewhere. It's not always possible, but I do my best. My most recent client was amazing because she had no interest in making money at all, and we just used the Buy Nothing page on Facebook, and I posted for her like amazing items, and she was just like, no, I just want you to get rid of it. And the people who received the items were so happy. So it was like a real win-win. Yeah. Yeah.
This just came up recently in a conversation. Can you tell me what the difference is between a hoarder and a pack rat?
Oh, I think it's just, I think they're synonyms. Yeah, I think pack rat is like an older term. Hoarder is actually, it's, what's that book, the DSM? It's now a formal psychiatric diagnosis, and I think it's like a subset of OCD. So that's why it's also, I'm not crazy about working with hoarders. It's very, very tricky, and you have to have a therapist working with the person. Yeah. So being a hoarder, it comes with certain kind of things that are associated with it, like losing the use of one, multiple rooms, not having a clear pathway to walk, certain things like that. And there's a hoarding scale, and as it gets worse, you go up the scale. So that's actually a formal word. Where's pack rat? I don't know. It's just like, yeah.
One last question. We have a lot of books. I have 7 kids. They're all out of the house. None of them took anything. So I have books from like kindergarten up. I mean, and I try to give them to my daughters for their kids, and they're like, no, these are falling apart. But when my daughter's with me, we were able to get rid of something. But it's hard to throw away books, and we have grown-up books too.
Donated to
Donated
the
to
library.
library.
They do.
Will they take paperbacks?
Yeah. There's a lot of places to donate. In terms of like a totally falling apart book,
Well, totally falling apart.
I know that.
Once I take it out, I'm able to put it
Yeah.
in recycling.
yeah. There are a lot of places. Thrift shops take them. Yeah.
How about like old sets of encyclopedia
Oh.
and World Britannica, that's my mother-in-law. Any value in keeping those? Or
No. I have been, so I go to all the library book sales because I'm a big reader, and I don't know if it's recently or like years ago, there used to be kind of sets of those at some of those, but I don't even know if the book sales take them anymore. Yeah. It's tough because it's like stuff that used to be valuable just isn't valuable. You know, like I grew up when everyone had the World Book Encyclopedia, and it was like a big deal, you know, and it was like displayed proudly, and now literally you could not give it away. No one would take it. Yeah. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that, I've heard that H&M takes, certain things like, clothes that are not, in other words, if it's like, in really bad shape or even curtains and stuff, and they will, recycle it. In other words, they send it to some company where they shred it, or, you know what I mean, and then.
I don't mean to be stupid. What's H&M?
It's a department store.
Oh, that store you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, not
Oh.
a department store, but
Yeah,
a clothing
yeah.
store.
Oh, that store. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
interesting.
and of course I have, like you were talking about, I have bags that,
Yeah.
but they have, it's like, oh, yeah, I put it on my errand list and it just doesn't get delivered.
Yeah, I do it immediately because otherwise that turns into an issue.
Exactly.
Then you have the bags. I have clients who tried to declutter and they have bags stacked everywhere. So that becomes clutter. Yeah, so thank you so much. I'm sorry, I know I ran a little bit long.
Thank you.
Okay. It was great speaking to you.
Would anyone be interested in a card? Oh, so, yeah. All right, let me get the paper and then I'll see how much. Okay. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Inez Corin, and I think I'll repeat what's been said. Thank you for coming out on this super cold day, 4 degrees, I think, this morning. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself very briefly. My company's Total Home Cleaning. We've been in business 20 years. Our office is based out of Summit. We've been in Westfield for 20 years. And I started the company, I was in corporate prior to starting the company. And at the time I had a small child. And what appealed to me was that there were a couple of things that I didn't see in clean companies at the time. The products were rather toxic. And I happened to have some good furniture because my husband's parents were in the furniture business. And what I saw was stuff that added a lot of shine to the furniture, but wasn't good for the furniture because it was putting a lot of silicones on it, which if you know furniture, over time, you can't refinish a piece if it gets scratched, if you've had a lot of silicone on it. So, with the concern about eco-consciousness, sustainability, and, just the toxicity of products, I thought there really was an opportunity to offer a service that combined that with a great selection of products that were good for my home. So that's my background. Excuse me, I'm recovering from a cold. Oops, sorry, not used to this. Okay, so I'm so happy to have followed Julie's presentation. So, there are not only health benefits, which are obvious, right? You do a cleaning, you get rid of germs, have your family healthier. There's asthma in the home. You go in, you remove the allergens, obvious benefits to, health benefits. But there are also mental benefits. So people with clean houses tend to be healthier than those with messy or cluttered. Just clean sheets will improve your rest. It's part of the, what we do. If, the person opts for it, we'll, take the old sheets off and replace them. So as you can see here, just everybody loves before and after pictures of cleaning, right? So if you ever want to pass time on TikTok, there are plenty before and afters to look at. So I just threw some up there. But, it's really tough to live with this stuff, right? Like, this is a really nice home, but in all the corners and all the baseboards, we find this type of stuff. So we're about the detail. Sometimes homeowners are great at maintaining like the surface level, and when you hire a professional cleaning service, hopefully that's what they're doing, is they're going one level deeper. So what's the difference, clutter versus cleaning? So clutter is a visual problem. Cleanliness is a health problem. When you take the clutter out, you then have the opportunity to have a cleaner home, right? So when we go in, we do, we start with a deep clean. So within a deep clean, we're moving coffee tables, end tables, light sofas, not sleeper sofas, but light sofas. And we're getting behind things. When you have a lot of clutter, that becomes really difficult. And sometimes we can't do it, right? Like, I'm sure, Julie was talking about homes where you have, bags and bags. So, or moving boxes. I mean, it would just be very expensive for us to do it. Not that we can't do it or haven't done it, depending on the scope, but obviously the less clutter you have, the easier it is to maintain the cleanliness in the home. So, I kind of talked about that. If you have less items, becomes easier to clean, takes less time to do it. You're reducing friction in the home. I used to call myself the chief home therapist, because I think a lot of couples have, ongoing battles over, or quiet resentments about, the cleanliness of the home. I do so much more to maintain it, than, maybe my husband, my partner does. So we come in and we remove some of the stress in the home. And, with the kids as well. So one of the great things that it forces is, if we're coming, because we're always on a regular schedule, if you know we're coming on Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, people tend to pick up for that reason, because they don't want to leave all their junk. Most people will do some pickup, and so it creates de facto it creates a motivation, right, for the kids, for everyone to be on some kind of regular schedule. Listen, we can't leave the stuff on the stairs. People are coming to clean tomorrow. You gotta move that stuff. And we'll offer suggestions sometimes for families that have maybe, very busy household and some problems with that. So what is professional cleaning? How many people here love to clean? Okay, we will not hire you. I'm just kidding. But a lot of times when I do an interview for cleaning, the person will say, I love to clean. And so sometimes that can be a red flag, because cleaning for yourself and cleaning professionally are two different things. We're very process driven because we have to be efficient, right? For every minute we're in your house that we're not efficient, either we're losing money or you're paying too much, right? So sometimes someone will hire us and will say, you know what, I can't believe what they did in 4 hours of time, because my old people would take 5 or 6 hours, and yet, I have a better result now. And the reason is because every movement from the time they get out of the car is part of a system and a process. How you work a room to clean it, left to right, top to bottom, back to front, exactly where that bucket's going to be placed in the kitchen, how it's going to be placed, what's going to be in the apron, on each side of your apron, who's going to do, what is the first thing you do when you walk into the home. All of that is very systems driven. But we also hiring, training, supervising, making sure people are following the system, and using the products in the way that we lay out for them. Professional cleaning also means, so for us, we hired a chemist that is an industry chemist to help us select the right products for every surface in the home. We're very concerned about also the products being the impact on the earth, using more sustainable methods. So surface care, we use professional equipment. So I hate when people run a regular vacuum on a hardwood floor, because the only thing that should be vacuuming your hardwood floor is anybody know? Should be a horsehair brush attachment when you vacuum, okay? Yeah. And the less water, the better, right? So at most you want to do a damp mop, but if you have dogs, you have small children, you may have to do a wet mop sometimes. So we have a repeatable, consistent process. You want to know, in our case, we have a 49-point checklist. It's always called a 49-point checklist. I think we're at 53 points now, but well, that's okay. And so you always want to know what you're going to get, right? So when you're talking to a cleaner, whether it's us or anybody else, is what are they doing every time they come? Are there things that are going to be rotational? What's that rotation look like? If you have dogs, that rotation should be different than the rotation in a home that has children and no dogs. Because it's just a different impact, right? The fur, you don't have to, you're going to have to edge carpeting, edge baseboards more frequently. We hand wash baseboards as well. That's going to happen on a different rotation. And of course, it will impact the amount of time required and the, and the price, but that's important. Okay, so I think one of the things that Julie talked about decluttering, but would you say you do it once and you're done? Never, right? You have to maintain it. Otherwise, you can very slowly end up back where you started from. So that's, there's this maintenance gap that can happen. And, you want the organization to be maintained. Once you get it to a certain level, you want to continue with, the tidying. We do tidy. We do want an aesthetic appeal to the home after it's been cleaned. And so you don't want that dust and buildup to return. Otherwise, you end up with frustration. So, clear the clutter, clean the surfaces, maintain the system, invite Martha Stewart to come in. So we were selected to work with Martha Stewart's team. She had a show running called Rescue Me, Martha. And so we would go in for the cleaning portion of the show. Oops. Sorry. Okay. So what cleaning services do we offer? We offer recurring maintenance service. That's our most popular. We go in every week, every other week. We do deep cleanings. You know, you might have an event and you want a deep clean of the home. Somebody's getting married. You're gonna have the the future in-laws in. You definitely want to look your best. We do pre-sales, so realtors will refer their clients to us. It's easier to sell a house and show the investment that's been made in the house when it's cleaned, right? So I'll give you an example. You walk into, you do a walk of the house, then you get, and maybe it's a little tired, but they made it look as good as it can. But then you walk into the utility room and in the basement, and the water heater is covered in dust. And you know what your first thought is? I'm gonna have to do some real maintenance in this home. Like, even it may just be in the back of the mind of the buyer's mind when they see that, but it's there, right? You want things to look like these people cared about this house. Post-construction renovation. So this is just an example. We do a lot of that. When a builder finishes, typically they'll do a rough clean. So they take out, the major debris, but there's a lot of dust left behind. My recommendation is, particularly in a post-renovation, is that you also call a duct cleaner after we've, taken everything out, or right before or right after we do the cleaning, because a lot of that dust settles into the ductwork. Over a 6-month period of time after the renovation, if you don't do that, you'll just see a lot of settling of that very, very fine dust, and you don't want to be breathing in stuff like that. We started about 4 years ago offering customized laundry turn down type service. So we have clients who are busy professionals. They'd rather be doing something else, making money, whatever they're doing. And they don't just need the cleaning. They really want somebody to come in, run the laundry. And we can do it affordably, depending on, like the situation. So we'll do cleaning at the same time we're running the laundry. Sometimes it's just parents with small children. Again, and avoids issues between people as to who gets to spend time with the kids and who gets to do the laundry. We offer disinfection services, and usually we get more of that when maybe someone's coming back from the hospital, or we have a COVID outbreak, or in offices, and so we do have total office cleaning. So we also do that. We focus here mostly on small offices. So we work with a lot of home service professionals and help to sequence the cleaning in the right order, whether it's a contractor doing renovations, whether it's an organizer finishing a project. And a lot of times it's we'll go in, we'll do a cleaning, and we will make a recommendation. What would help you out would be this service. So let's connect and support each other's work, whatever you do. Feel free to take a snapshot of that. That's our company's contact information. And I'm up there. With that, does anybody have any questions about any of this? Yeah.
Quick question about hardwood floors.
Yes.
So what is the proper way to really manage your hardwood floors?
Okay, so that's a great question. So with almost any surface in your home, you always want to be pH neutral, right? So no ammonia. Ammonia is a base. And you want to use, there are a couple of products that are really good out there for floors. One is Bruce's, which comes in the green spray bottle. Another is Bona. And so less is more with hardwood floors. Remember, hardwood floors are porous, right? So one thing people do sometimes is they do that paper towel test, where they wet the towel and they wipe it. Because it's porous, it typically is not going to come out. Your paper towel test not going to be stark white. So if you have no pets, I would say, dry mop the floors with an occasional, maybe once every couple of weeks, once every 3 weeks, once every 4 weeks, depending on the traffic of your home, a damp mop with one of those products.
I have a question. Can you recommend somebody for the heating duct cleaning? And also, do they do like dryer vents?
Yeah. So who I would recommend is Duck Dudes. We've been using them for years in our office, and I've recommended them to clients, and everybody's been happy with them. Yeah. Anybody else? I wrote a paper about cleaning products and pitfalls of cleaning. If anybody's interested, just send me an email and just write chamber cleaning, and I'll get that to you. Because it had some really good information. Also, when you're hiring a company, what are the right questions about the insurance to ask? Please just make sure that they're insured properly. Workers' comp, if there's a slip and fall, you don't want to have responsibility. And then general liability, this paper gets into it a bit more. So yeah, you just kind of want to make sure that it hasn't expired. I had a client who had some work being done. He was told they were insured. The guy fell from a ladder, and he ended up getting sued. It was a mess, and the problem was, again, the insurance was expired. Any other questions? Yes.
What about vinegar on hardwood floors?
Acidic. So it's not. It's not good. Like, I just keep it pH neutral. And so the vinegar is acidic, even in the right proportions. When we first started, that's what I started with, and then I hired the chemist about 2 months later, and he's like, no, that's not what you want to use. Yes?
I just wanted to get your thoughts, like for basements, like a finished space.
Yes.
Do you recommend carpeting or area rugs or just vinyl flooring or
I mean, yeah, I think you really want something that's impervious to water. I think that's what most builders would say. Yeah. Yes.
It's actually a testimonial for Inez over here. Great cleaning service, most notably the deep cleaning, which we've had done to our home a few years ago. It is terrific. She does a really fantastic job.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Do you have an opinion on baking soda? All those hacks, all those Instagram hacks.
Yes.
Listen. Baking soda is the
they-
part of the mixture.
They work. They take longer, but they work. So I just did an oven window for, I did the oven door. I was visiting a friend. We stay with them every New Year's. And it didn't do great, one of the hacks. It was, and she didn't have anything else. But we combined baking soda with a little bit of Dawn, and there was a third thing in it. I want to say it was vinegar, but I'm not sure that it was. Anyway, you can find like 10 recipes, online. And it did fantastic on the inside of that oven. It did not do great on that oven window. So, and we let it sit for a couple of hours. So when we do it, we actually use a fume-free, easy-off oven cleaner, and that glass, and you have to know like how you're doing it. So it would have come out, the glass would have been perfect. Like, it would have been professional, right? Like, you'd look at it and you'd say, okay, this is super clean. So if you want that level, you can do it, and it doesn't take hours, right, of sitting time. But one thing to be careful about is when you're using one of those hacks or whatever, and let's say you're trying to do the oven window, and she's very clean, by the way, like, yeah, but she just never in a year it was a new oven, in a year hadn't done it. And so one thing to be careful about is don't put those products around the seal of the glass, because what'll happen is it's going to slide in and under. Then you got a bigger problem. Now you got to take apart that piece. You got to unscrew it. You may not be able to do. You might have to hire somebody to do it. How do I know? Did it? Yeah. So be careful about that. Yes.
What about chandeliers? Do you offer that service? The clean
Yeah.
little crystal?
Yes, we do. Yes, so we have a process and a system for doing that, and it involves a ladder, and some chandeliers, if they're too high, we need somebody to take it down. We won't even try. So, it depends on whether it's accessible. We'll do windows, interior windows, exterior windows that tilt in. Yes.
Bathroom grout,
Mhm.
the mold. What's the best for that?
Excuse me. So we, on a deep clean, so the product that we use for 90% of the cleaning is a line of products that has hydrogen peroxide in it. Okay, if that doesn't work, on the deep clean, we are going to use a bleach product, and that's what if it's on the silicone, there is a product that will work on a silicone. We typically don't, but silicone's so tough. Like, once it's gotten that mold stain on it. And the key with any of it is to find what the root problem is. So you may need to regrout, because otherwise you're always on the surface. And that's what I hate about a bleach product is, right, it's always on the surface. You're not really fixing the problem. Yeah. Anybody else? Well, you guys really into your cleaning, aren't you? I'm impressed. Good questions. All right. Thank you very much. I know we're on time. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
We're a little over on time.
I just wanted to say thank you again so much for coming. Thank you, Julie and Inez. This was amazing, especially to start off the year and organize your home and clean it. Last but not least, I'd like to introduce the president of our board of directors, Jim Mooney, who came a little bit late.
Yeah, I'll
He
come
can-
up front so it's easier to- Well, welcome. I should do some kind of karaoke or something up here. No, thank you all for being here tonight, or today. God, I feel like it's tonight already because my day started at 5 o'clock. I actually have a B&I group that I'm the president of as well, so that's where I was. So sorry for my tardiness today. But terrific conversation here from Inez. I've known Inez a long time, and she does provide an incredible cleaning service. Again, most notably, that deep cleaning service was terrific when she first started out. So cleaning the house. So thank you for that. We also do have some events coming up next week, right?
Yeah,
We have the.
I had mentioned that we have our big.
Oh, you did?
multi-chamber
Okay, with the
event. Yeah.
multi-chamber
It's a big
event
event
next week.
Yeah.
It's going to be 20 different chambers, so it's a lot of cross-chamber activity. It will be at the Galloping Hills Caterers, not the golf course, so by the hot dog stand, not by the golf. But there's going to be about 300 people in the room, so there's a lot of opportunity to get out there and network next Tuesday night. And I dare you to get around the room in one evening.
It's a good challenge.
It's a big challenge. So anyway, but again, thank you all for attending here today. And we much appreciate it when you come out and support the Chamber of Commerce. So thank you.
Thank you. And anyone that's new, I'd love to have a conversation after if you're interested in the chamber and how you can become more involved in what we can do for you. We have these real estate committee meetings every single month here. Alan has so graciously offered up his space every month. So it's really a great way to learn about the different real estate areas within our chamber and how they can help you. So thank you. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you, Pam.